I believe as soon as YouTube tells me, we are live. So, to everyone watching right now, I'm here with Chuck Nagy, who current BMX rider, past BMX rider, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And also the starter of what I've got here. I've got one and three, the Heavy Pedalz Zine. All this is his work, getting things together and organizing it, getting it all done. And that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight with zines and Heavy Pedalz itself and just kind of a lot of things. So, my first question, because I feel like I totally missed the zine era in BMX. Can you just kind of talk about a zine and like what it actually is?
Yeah, well, zine is short for magazine.
Yeah.
So it's Zine, and it's basically like a small run, usually a small run, um, self-produced magazine, generally on a specialized subject. Like there seems to be a big resurgence in zines right now. Back in the early '90s and late '80s, I did punk rock zines, and I focused on bands that I liked, and you can find zines on everything. Like there's a huge role playing zine thing going on right now because I'm always looking for new zines, and it always strikes me as funny like how many like Dungeons and Dragons zines are out there.
Oh.
Um, yeah, it's
Hmm.
kind of weird. That seems like the majority of zines that I find, and then there are like a lot of people do personal zines.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of, I don't know, it's like Tumblr but on paper.
Interesting. I feel like I've heard of the punk rock zine.
Yeah, well, no, it was basically like there were tons of them back in the day. Like the main punk rock magazine, there were two of them. One was Maximum Rock and Roll, and the other one was Flipside. And they would have hundreds of zine reviews. Like there were so many zines pre-internet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there were people would set up distros where they would trade zines, they would sell other people's zines, and you know, your zine would go all over the world just by trading with people.
That's so crazy. I think that's the aspect of it that I had heard of before, kind of. And I always knew kind of what they were, but not really super a lot. But it's all really really cool. So with them with what a zine is kind of out there now, I want to hear about Heavy Pedalz itself and kind of what you feel like it represents. And you said a lot of them are on specialized things. So get into some of the more specifics on the one that you make.
Well, it was when I started, and I started like there was no planning at all. I ran into Brian Bono,
Mm-hmm.
who's I believe he's from Columbus, Ohio. He's in his late 40s as well, and he's been racing since the early to mid 80s, and he never stopped. And he's been doing a zine in one form or another for the whole time. And I ran into him at a race at Toledo Speedway BMX, and I bought his zine off of him, and I shared it on Facebook, and I said, maybe I'm itching to do a zine again. And a couple of people chimed in, and they said, "Do it, I'll help." So that's how Heavy Pedal started. And basically, it was a month from beginning to end. Uh, and you can tell there was there was no proofreading. It was just like I threw it together because I wanted to get it done.
Yeah. I feel like
And
that's
the
the
layout
best way to
for
do it.
yeah, it was just like I just threw it together because I wanted to get it done.
Right.
And it was, and it's cool. I probably should have taken my time, but a lot of times when I jump into something, I just go.
Dude,
So
the best things in life that people have ever done are things that people jumped headfirst into and didn't carefully plan out.
yeah, that's. I mean, I think if I planned it out, it might have never happened.
Well, that's the main thing is like people talk about things forever and then just never do anything. And I feel like to jump in head first like you said you did and just do it and make it happen, and maybe it's not necessarily proofread, or you didn't do some of the things you might have wished you did looking back on it, but I think that the fact that you just made it happen and didn't wait on anything or anyone else is kind of a really important part.
Yeah, that was yeah, it was fun. And then like, after I printed it, I started reading it. I'm like, man, this is this is not how I wanted it to be. So when number two came out, I took a little bit more time. There's still a bunch of typos in it,
Yeah,
but I feel like number three is getting even closer where I wanted to be.
yeah.
And I started out printing 100 at a time, and I think I've gone through 5 runs of number one.
Wow, how many is 5 runs?
500. I did 200
Jeez.
color, and I think I just finished my third 100 of black and white. Um,
Wow.
Number two, I only did 200 copies though, because I mean the whole COVID thing happened, and that kind of I couldn't really go anywhere during the winter time.
Yeah, right. So it's harder to do it, yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible. Then for number three, I decided I was going to go all in, and I printed 1,000
Wow.
because I was just going to do it, and I broke my arm, so I couldn't work. So that gave me time to do zine stuff, and
Yeah.
it paid. So
How many of
uh,
those 1,000 are sold so far?
800.
Oh my God, dude, that's incredible.
Well, the thing is I didn't sell all of them. Like once I made my money back, I started like sending out like people that were having jams.
Yeah,
Like I sent them for prizes, and then yeah, basically I sent them to people that are having jams, just kind of try to get the word out.
that's
You know,
awesome though. I mean, that's how all the best things like started. That you hear the story of how animals started selling pegs out of the back of a car at like an event. Well, you're sending zines to an event after you sold enough to already make your money back. It's really cool.
right, right, yeah, and it really surprised me. I get order, and I've shipped it all over the world too, which is kind of cool. There's a guy in Germany that buys it. There are people in South America. And I took it upon myself to send it to these kids in Nigeria.
Oh.
These kids are riding these like beat up bikes,
Mm-hmm.
like lower, like worse, like Walmart bikes that are in horrible shape, and they're
Yeah.
just killing having fun, man. So I'm like, I got in contact with the guy, and I was like, hey, man, let me send you a zine. And he was really fired up on it. He hasn't got it yet. It's been 4 weeks, but you know,
I'm sure
I'm
once
just
he
trying to get
does.
people that are into BMX, because I miss magazines, man. I've always read magazines.
Yeah, and that whole the thing you just said, it's not there yet, and it's been 4 weeks. You know that that person is waiting every single day, checking their mail for it to get there. And there's a lot of people talking about that in the chat right now, saying like kids don't understand how cool it was waiting for stuff in the mail. Someone else said I always loved getting good things in the mail, like magazines and zines way back when.
Oh, this kid, yeah, he sent me a couple of messages on Messenger, but I'm like, look, dude, I can't. I said I sent it, but I can't make it go any faster. I
Yeah,
mean, it probably would have cost me 40 or $50 to get tracking on it, and it's not worth it to me. Like,
yeah,
I
right.
feel like once he gets it, hopefully he'll just be that much more stoked on it because he had to wait for it.
Right. Well, this whole concept of being psyched on waiting for it in the mail and how people used to be psyched on waiting on things like this in the mail, like props and all that. Kind of, okay, I want to make a connection for people who don't have that today. You know how exciting it is when you order something off Amazon and you're waiting to get it? This is like, this is your BMX. This is your whole world that you're waiting to get in the mail. Like, it's so much better than just some random crap you bought off Amazon.
Yeah, it's weird because, oh man, there used to be like at least 3 or 4 BMX magazines,
Yeah.
and when BMX Plus announced that they were not publishing anymore, man, I was devastated.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, it killed me because, even though like I didn't start riding again until 2016,
Mm-hmm.
but I still, I would still always like pick up skateboard magazines and BMX magazines just because they were cool. The photos. Um, well, I should say, I started riding. I came back from the extended break in 2013,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you were. Toledo had some dirt jumps.
I heard.
We had some incredible dirt jumps here. And when they bulldozed those, I just kind of, I put the BMX bike up for 2.5 years. And a friend of mine he wouldn't leave me alone. He's like, you're coming to raise with us. And I haven't stopped riding since. So,
I feel like I remember when you first started riding again.
oh yeah, dude, I was just, man, I'm still as fired up as ever on it. I'm not, by no means am I daring or am I good. I just love riding, man. I can't.
That's the only part
Just
that matters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 It just, dude, I can't even describe like being 50 years old and just being so immersed into doing the zine, riding bikes. Even though when my arm was broken, even though I couldn't race, I was at the track twice a week. Trying to help out at the track. Trying to coach kids and to help out with what I could and come up
Yeah.
with stories, talk to riders. So.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you brought up the fact that there used to be so many different BMX magazines and things, and BMX Plus stopping publishing. I wanted to talk too about how so many people say that tangible media is dead in BMX, but in reality, it's not dead at all. Like things like this exist all over the place. You just have to know where to find it.
There are some really good zines out there. Brian Bono's Whole Shot. I mean, that it's all racing, but it's still
It's tangible media.
it's still great. It's a great zine, and he does it like his zine is. If you went back to 1990 and said, "Hey, give me a BMX magazine," it would be Whole Shot because he uses a typewriter and he cuts physical
That is
photos,
so sick.
pastes them on paper, and photocopies it.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
And then I know there's Ride PA BMX.
I just ordered that last night.
Yeah, that one's one. I know that one gets promoted by like Our BMX and stuff. And I think that the more these things get out there, the more that those BMX media type people are going to have to like start talking about it.
Yeah, there's also Dead Sailing.
Yeah. Yep, that
Those
one.
man,
I have one of those too.
okay, that zine is great, and one of the things I got to give those guys props for is that I got that zine. I'm like, man, these guys are using different fonts. Oh wait, they're using like white words on a black background. Oh, I can do so much more, and they gave me the inspiration to to learn how to use my program.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. There's so, I mean, it's such a waste that there are no more magazines because I can tell you, I still remember, and I tell people this all the time. When I was 12 years old, we went to Kmart, and I would always run for the magazines. And I remember seeing a guy named Jose Yanez do the first backflip
Yeah.
on a BMX. I'll never forget that. Like, and every time we went to Kmart, I looked for that magazine. I never bought it, but I still, I was 11 or 12 years old, and I'll never forget it. I still remember the pictures, and I'd love to find a copy of that.
I'm sure
So
one's out there, and that's the same effect. Like, I feel like the more that your stuff gets out there, the more that other zines get out there, the more that people talk about it, it can have the same effect.
I would love to see more zines, but at the same time, I'm trying to push mine to, I've been trying to get a hold of Barnes and Noble, and I keep, it's like it's constant games of phone tag. You can't, getting a hold of somebody that can give you a decision or give you an answer. It's impossible.
Oh yeah.
because I want, doing a zine's fun, but I want to make a BMX magazine again. Like, and I think I can do it, but people are going to advertisers are going to have to realize that print media can still be a thing. Um, and I think, I think the magazines, they sold the parent companies, and the parent companies are like, oh, this isn't making enough money, so we're going to shut you down.
Yeah. Well, and
So
and I think that also happens too because the fact that there's a parent company and it's not an independent thing. I mean, I know there were independent BMX magazines that have shut down, but if someone like you wants to start one up and you can make it happen, it's yours. If you decide whether or not you're making enough money.
right. I don't think I don't know. I don't think it's something I could do as a full-time job, but I started printing t-shirts, and all the t-shirts, everything is going towards that one goal
Mm-hmm.
of producing a big magazine. Because people just, advertise, like people are afraid to advertise. And I've been, honestly, I've been really selective about who I talk to. And right now, everyone is saying it's the COVID. Our advertising budget is slashed because of the COVID. But that kind of doesn't make sense to me because people, uh, our local bike shop doesn't have any bikes. They can't keep stuff in stock.
Right, right. They're probably making the connection that they don't need to advertise to sell all of those bikes right now.
That's true. I mean, and BMX is such a niche thing that, you know, I don't, maybe they feel like I don't even know if I should bring up the company, but I was told that one company they don't even advertise in print anymore. And it's too bad because like it's there. I mean, if you were to spend money on an ad in a magazine that's directed at BMX, that's your core audience right there. That's what
Right,
you want.
right.
So, but
It's an
instead of ad,
interesting conversation to have, I think. And I think that there's also some BMX media right now that is supported heavily by the advertisers, more so than even like if someone sponsors an ad or pays for an ad in Heavy Pedalz, they're not like keeping your life going. Like they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not relying on them to pay your bills. This is because they want to support something sick and make it that much easier for it to happen.
right, yeah, yeah, it's definitely not, uh, it'll never make me rich. But the cool thing is like it breaks even,
Yeah.
and I can't ask for anything more than that. I've got a good job. It's not like I want to support myself doing it, but just the fact that it breaks even is I'm pretty stoked on that.
Oh yeah, dude. That's something to really be proud of. I mean, you're 3 issues working on 4 right now deep. You're breaking even on it, which means you can keep making it and keep working towards your goal, which is awesome.
And it's crazy because I in the process, not only have I learned how to do better layout, I've had to learn how to do more photography
Mm-hmm.
and learn how to interview people. Like it's interviewing people it's not it's it's not as easy as you would think. I mean, sometimes people are going to clam up and they're not going to answer, or that you're going to ask a question and they're going to answer it completely differently.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's keeping people it's trying to keep people focused. And then even like I had to, when I interviewed Nick Bruce, we had to do it through the email because of COVID.
Yeah.
So, and then when I interviewed Joe Battaglia, we did that with the speakerphone, and I transposed it, which took forever. You know,
I
I
have a
tried
tip
using the
for that for you.
service. The recording was horrible, so I got mostly nonsense back.
I have a tip for that for you.
Awesome.
Yes, if you instead of if you have the phone call get as clear as you can and then just start a video recording of your just to capture the audio, then upload that to YouTube. YouTube automatically will transcribe the English language into subtitles. So you can download those subtitles, then delete all of the subtitle like time code info. And what you're left with is their translation of your conversation.
Oh man, that's amazing. I gotta try that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's really crazy the technology that they have, and it's just automatic on any YouTube video, so you can upload it privately and then just download it and have the words.
oh, that's cool because I it was $12 an hour for and a computer did it and it was kind of horrible.
Yeah,
Well,
dude,
it was funny, but
you can get it for free from YouTube, and then you can fix whatever you know needs fixed because you'll be able to just read it yourself as as you do it.
oh, that's a really good. I'm gonna try that. Uh,
Here to
Put this
help,
around.
man. I'm here to help. Save you some
That's
money. That means you can put more towards like more resources towards this. It's just awesome.
yeah. Actually, the new issue is 4 more pages, so it's up to 64 pages.
That's great. That's magazine length. I mean, that's I like
Yeah.
what's the difference? Okay, so what would constitute something as a zine and a magazine? What's the
Well,
difference?
for me, a magazine is 8.5 by 11.
Oh, the size. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But another cool thing is there's a new company that's making 22-inch bikes that sent me frame and fork to review.
That's amazing. That's so awesome, dude.
And the cool thing, the way I'm doing my reviews is I'm doing it from three different perspectives. Like a guy that or a person that really rips and can jump anything, a person that is not quite that good, and then like someone like me who likes to carve around and ride around. So it's kind of nice to have three different perspectives.
Yeah, that's super cool. So, I guess that's a good like lead up to like what kinds of things do you hope to do with this? I guess in more of the short term, and then we could talk more about the long term of like an actual magazine, what you might do with it. But for now, like the things that you're doing, interviews with people, you're gonna do a product review. Is there anything else that you're interested in doing in this?
Uh, you know, I I want to make sure that I cover racing. I
Mm-hmm.
want to cover street. I want to cover park and dirt. I want to cover everything.
Yeah.
Um, I want it to be BMX magazine for everyone. Uh, and I've kind of been going back and forth about the type of riders that I'm gonna interview. Uh, I think I'm gonna start focusing more on like grassroots riders, rather than people that already have 1 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like people that are up and coming and need the exposure.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, that's a cool thought. You actually be helping them.
yeah, yeah, because a lot of you'd be surprised at people that answer my direct messages, but there are a lot of people that I don't know if they don't see them or they just ignore them.
Oh yeah.
And there are people that I've stopped following on social media because I get butthurt when they don't answer.
No, that
So
man, that's totally understandable. And from the perspective of someone, I feel like I'm pretty like I'm pretty what do I want to say like busy, I guess is a good word. Like I'm doing a lot in
right,
regards to like what I'm doing, and I still have plenty and plenty of time for any random person who DMs me on Instagram asking about anything to answer their question. Like so much time. And I think that there's a lot of people out there who are pro BMX riders or whatever who don't have to worry about day jobs and whatever else who also have that time.
yeah, yeah.
There's not very many
Um,
people who are just totally completely shut down because of how busy they are.
right, right. I'll tell you what, I would the way the Nick Bruce interview came out, I see him at Rays, and he's always super cool.
Yeah.
And if I send him a message, he'll answer.
Right.
Somebody like that that's got all that stuff going on. I mean, it's really nice that he's so courteous. But and then when I try to talk to someone else and about an interview, and it just gets ignored. Like, okay, whatever. I just
Yeah, I
that
mean,
I'm thinking about just trying to maybe help out people who are working on who need more exposure. I guess that's the best way to put it.
yeah, and that's a really cool way to go about it. Maybe that's a good thing, the silver lining to come out of the people who don't respond or don't even look at messages like that.
Yeah, I mean I said I get a little bit butthurt, but whatever. I just move on. I'm not going to talk smack and name names because it's not really in the end it's not
Right,
really that important because
right.
the people that have responded mean so much more to me than the people that have ignored me that it doesn't even in the long term it doesn't even matter. So
Yeah, and I think the most important part to take out of that is just the silver lining that you've discovered of wanting to promote people who could actually use the exposure, and people who you could legitimately help with the widespread uh I don't know the word I'm trying to use right now, but how widespread your zine is and the people that it reaches, the reach.
yeah, well, yeah, people that it gives people exposure.
Yep.
It's um, and it's crazy because there you used to get photo incentives like pros would get bonuses for being on the cover of a magazine,
Yep.
for being in a magazine. They get paid for being in ads, but all that money is kind of dried up. So it's it's weird. It's weird having to think about it as from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
But just trying to figure out what I can do to make this work where other BMX magazines have failed.
Right. I
So
think you have the benefit of hindsight of all of these BMX magazines that have failed to kind of see what you might need to try and change up and do differently and try and guarantee the success.
yeah, I think a lot of it, I don't think you can have a bloated budget or travel expenses, and you just kind of you get sometimes you can't fly to whoever you're interviewing. You have to do it online or through email.
Which, I
So
mean, yes, it's always better to have a in-person thing, but in reality, there are ways to get around that to make it work, just like you've figured out already.
right, right. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I was willing, and I was actually a day before I was going to drive to Milwaukee to do a photo shoot with Joey Battaglia.
Yeah,
He had having surgery, so he couldn't do it. So he rounded up some photos and sent them to me. Fit Bike Company sent me a couple of photos. So
that's awesome.
yeah, that worked out. I don't mind traveling. Like if I'm not working it, I'll travel wherever. But I can't fly across the country for an interview.
Right. And I think that mindset will help you be more successful moving forward with it too. What about like the long term of things? As far as like if you were to do a BMX magazine, what kinds of things are you interested in?
Well, I'll tell you what. If like the longevity of heavy pedals does not depend on it becoming a a quote unquote real magazine.
Hmm.
I'm gonna keep doing it no matter what. 'Cause I have so much fun doing it. It's a blast. Basically, the ultimate goal is just to contribute to BMX. If I can turn new people onto BMX, like kids, boys, girls, men, women. If I can just like spread BMX, that's all I can ask. That's all. Like, I mean, that's the ultimate goal. I want people to get out and ride bikes. Especially I would love more older people to get on BMX bikes.
Oh, right now, man, there are more older guys than ever getting back into BMX for the first time.
Right, right. And it's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of like a little club, like but you see some of the old guys at Rays that just kill it, man. Like
Hmm.
first time I saw a Wild Bill ride, man, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's
I was
awesome.
Oh man, that dude is amazing for even for a I don't even want to say for an older dude, but just for anybody, man, that guy is insane. He's so good.
Yeah, he's really good. We've got quite a lot of older guys here in Ohio that are just really, really good at riding their bike.
You know, yeah, Ohio, the Ohio BMX scene is it's so good. Like it's really big. You know, like, and it's crazy because I need to start focusing more on Toledo because a lot of my stuff is in Cleveland because that's, you know, I go to Raise a lot,
Right.
and I only know a few local riders, so I need to crack into that a little bit more.
You should check out Nate Powell.
He actually, I'm Nate Powell in his little backyard is going to be in an upcoming story.
Good. He deserves
Yes.
it. He's definitely an amazing rider.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love his Instagram, and a friend of mine who is I guess they're super good friends, and he suggested him, and that's how I started following Nate Powell. So
Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure there's a couple others. I love the idea that you're not totally like Ohio centralized with what you're doing too, because there's so much good stuff out there. You could easily do one specific on Ohio, but I feel like 2 years or a year down the road, you're gonna be like, oh crap, if you did it that way.
Well, I couldn't do that anyway because like people on the East Coast trails, though the East Coast trail scene is like, man, those all of those people support heavy pedals. Like they order it, and then on the cover of number 3, that's her name is Becky Aspel, and she built her own trails. You know, it's there are just so many cool people out there that yeah, I couldn't just focus on Ohio.
Do you think that's because of FBM? Or the FBM has an impact on that and their support for DIY and just that kind of a thing?
I don't know. I mean, it could it could be, and I'm sure you know I would say yeah because I'm sure that that's definitely every little action that you take to support DIY. I mean, it totally. I hate to be cheesy, but you know, kind of like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
You know, it definitely every little thing helps.
Right. Well,
So
I mean, look at it this way. What got you back? What got you? Was it Brian Bono? You said got you back into what got you back to a track or riding the first time after so long?
okay, so dude, it's crazy. I went to I went to a Highland Jam in Toledo. I don't know if you ever went to one of
I
those.
hadn't been to one of those. I've been to that park before and seen videos from those.
Okay. So I work right around the corner from there, and I work on the railroad. So I had my work boots and bib overalls on and a beer down to my stomach, and this dude named Heath Reeves was like,
Yep.
well, told his friend is like, hey, I got to find out who this dude is. Like that dude, me and that dude are gonna be friends, and we ended up becoming. Yeah, he's one of my best buds, man. And he's the guy that got me back into riding after I took a break in 2013. And how crazy! I mean, I'm pretty lucky because that first trip to Rays, it was me, Keith, and one of his friends, and then another one of his friends who was Jeremy Ball.
Yeah.
And coming back into riding, and you're hanging out with you ride with somebody like Jeremy Ball. That dude's insane.
Right.
So good. I was just like, whoa. And that kind of like gave me that kind of made me think about BMX a little bit differently because everybody just rides together. There's
Mm-hmm.
not like, it's, I think you'd be hard pressed to find pro basketball players shooting hoops with, average Joes
Oh, for
down the
sure.
streets.
For sure. And that whole concept of the butterfly effect is it's if Heath hadn't walked up to you, I mean, yeah, you might have been at the jam and been like hyped on bikes, but it might have turned out differently if he hadn't come up and become friends with you.
I would probably still be, at that time I was doing a lot of mountain biking, so I'd probably still be riding mountain bikes.
Yeah, so maybe this zine wouldn't have, so like the whole butterfly effect of it is just from him to the zine to whatever wherever it ends up going, and all of the people that you keep psyched on BMX because you open this perfect example. You open this issue 3 into the centerfold to Trevor. Trevor's one of the best riders I know, most well-rounded riders I know, who I would say a lot less people than should know about Trevor do. And seeing something like this and actually helping him get the exposure to all over the world, like you said, is awesome. And it just comes from one guy in Toledo and you showing up at that jam and your interest in bikes all coming together and leading up to this.
I don't understand how Trevor's not full on pro and traveling the world.
Because he lives
I
in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because two of the people, like Heath was one of the people that brought that up, and another guy was Scott Towns.
Yeah.
He was like, "Do it, I'll contribute." And I didn't even like I've known Scott for 30 years, but I didn't meet him through BMX.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, I knew him through punk rock, and I didn't realize until like 2013 or 2014 just how involved in BMX he's been since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew he skated because at one point I was part owner of a skate shop and he was our Etnies rep. So, and it's kind of funny, we keep bumping into each other, throughout the course of 30 years. And now he does a big part helping me with the zine. I usually, I'll send him before I publish it, I'll send it to him and say, "Hey, what do you think?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's also cool the way that everything's coming together, the way that you're doing this, all of the different things you're interested in, and just the passion that you have for it is comes through. And I feel like that's something you might not get from a real like magazine in the BMX world.
It's funny. A lot of people my own age, and especially guys I work with, they have no idea what to make of it. They just they don't understand it. And I don't even care, but they just kind of shake their heads, when they see me rolling around on a BMX bike or talking about jumping stuff.
Dude,
It's just,
people,
I don't understand. Like I don't want to get old gracefully, man. I just
what I
I don't
have to
want
say
to.
to that is that those guys don't know what to make of it and they shake their heads, but then they probably go home and drink beer and watch sports and do nothing with their lives after work.
Yeah, dude. I don't want to talk smack about some defenders.
Right, you
Man, when
know,
I
not yeah, I know. I'm just those kind of people are the kind of people who do that and like don't understand or don't just shake their heads at people who are just like out there enjoying and have a passion for something and then don't have a passion themselves.
I'll tell you what, when I worked at in Bellevue, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
which is midway between here and Cleveland, between Toledo and Cleveland. Those people, man, they were straight up hateful.
It's
Like
crazy.
they were horrible. Like they just couldn't believe that someone would enjoy life, man. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but I dig it, man. Like, all pretty much my whole life revolves around BMX. So
Which is super, super, super awesome. And to keep just on the note of like people like not really seeing the full scope of it, the guy who owns the trails that I helped dig at, John, he's like 43 or something like that. And he jumps everything back at the trails and all that, but and he told people that he worked with what he does and that he owns these trails and then like he always talks about stories like going in and showing them videos of him riding and us riding and then having them just completely be mind blown because they didn't really know the scope of what was going on. Like they thought it was just some little dirt piles in the middle of a or in the middle of a woods somewhere.
that's funny. Yeah, people, I don't know, man. It's It's just such a cool thing to be a part of. I don't know. I can't get enough of it.
I
Well, you know,
love
even
seeing
like
it.
even going to the racetrack, man. I love hanging out and videoing at the racetrack. I'm starting to be able to ride a little bit again. That's fun. So I just man, I can't wait till I can full on ride again. So
Yeah, I'm excited for you to be able to too, especially race season's coming up. So it'll be cool to ride with you at Rays and just for you to be able to ride at Rays.
you know, you know, that's another thing. Like one thing when I started this, like I wanted to involve as many like women riders as possible
Yeah.
because I feel, you know, in the magazine it was real like in BMX Plus it was kind of rare. Like um I think one of the last issues of BMX Plus that I had, like Nina Butrago was in it,
Hmm.
but you know it's usually like, oh, here's one woman that rides when there are tons of them all over the place,
Yeah.
and it's not, you know, it's not just that they ride, it's that they ride well.
Oh yeah. There's a
Uh,
lot of them that shred.
yeah, and I don't want, you know, when you would see in the magazine it would be a rare occurrence, but I want, you know, kids that are coming up and looking at it now, I want them to not think like, oh, it's, you know, it's weird that that a girl is in there riding because, you know, BMX is for everybody. It's not, you know, it's just not a guy thing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. 100%. I think there's a few lady shredders in Ohio, and then obviously nationally and internationally, there's a countless number of them. One that pops into my head that I don't know any mainstream people, like other than just people who've ridden for a long time, know who it is. As I met her at the women's weekend this past year at Ray's, and I gotta pull up her Instagram is like C. Pantaleotis. Her name's Christina Pantaleotis. And she was back in the grind room. I went back in there and she was doing like feeble grinds across and down the entire hubba on the pyramid and like just and doing like oh I can't even remember all the stuff she was doing, but it was like really, really good stuff. And I was like, who are you? You are amazing at riding. I've never heard of you before. Like, how are you not out there more? And it's like, I was just going to say, people like that are people
was she
that,
wearing bib overalls?
yes.
Yes,
See, you
dude,
know who
and
I'm talking about.
that's the first thing that struck me because being a guy that wears bib overalls, I was like, oh snap, there's someone wearing bib overalls, and then just yeah, dude, she kills it. I'm gonna
Yes.
have to get her Instagram from you and maybe talk to her because I think it was actually in your video that I saw her riding.
Well, that's why I made sure that I had to get her into that video because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to make a women's weekend video and one of the best riders that I've seen all weekend is not going to be in it.
Right, right, yeah, yeah, she was killing it. So yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, dude, I was just, that name popped into my head. I'm like, if you're going to try and include them, that is definitely a person to talk to.
Yeah, so I mean that's I want to, you know, I want to involve everybody. And if you look at number three, there's George Gallio, who has
Yeah,
cerebral palsy and rides BMX. And
where's it at?
I don't know if anyone realizes how incredible that is. I
I
mean,
don't even
basically
think,
half of his body it's near paralyzed.
right here.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And just to do some of the stuff he does with that disability,
Yeah,
man,
man. I follow him on Instagram, friends with him on Facebook. He definitely kills it, and I feel like I don't even understand the full extent of like the situation with the cerebral palsy that he has.
man, I tell you, it's yeah, it affects different people. It affects everyone differently, and you know there are varying levels of severity with it. But man, read about it because just the fact that he's getting out there and pedaling is amazing.
That's
So, and
awesome.
he
And
cool guy, man. It's just super nice, and I just man, I love seeing people riding bikes and having fun. You can just tell on his videos the dude has so much fun.
Right, absolutely. 100%. And the fact that you include people like that, it's so awesome. And you're wearing your Anthem 2 shirt right now.
Oh,
It's
dude.
just, go ahead.
I should probably like this shirt was specially made for me because they didn't make a 3X or a 3 extra large tall, so I had to get not only am I fat but I have a long torso, so they totally hooked it up that I have this shirt. So
It's just a perfect example of BMX supporting BMX, and there's so many people. I know we hear it all the time about the tangible media stuff, blah blah blah, but the reality of BMX is that there's people like you everywhere creating awesome things like this, and there's people literally everywhere supporting it.
yeah, it's man, and I don't know. There might I don't think social media is going to go anywhere, but
No.
just just being able to look at a magazine a couple of different times and not you're not inundated with new content all of the time, which I never thought would be a problem, but it gets kind of old sometimes.
Right.
You can't focus on one thing. You can't read anything in depth because it's you're held down to a certain number of characters, and reading something on a small screen just doesn't have the same appeal to me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more people who are getting to the same position that you just described, and that's, I think, part of why your zine and other zines are being so successful lately.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, yeah, I hope that it leads to even if it's not my magazine. I mean, I hope that like it leads to a BMX magazine coming back and one. You know, I I mean, Dig publishes one every year, and I buy it. You know, and
Yeah.
it's always real good. But it's also like I think it was $25 last time.
Oh, geez, that's a lot. But I'm
And
sure it's
yeah,
worth it.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I'm sure it's worth it.
It totally is. But and I'm not trying to be the most artsy zine. I'm not. I want to have a good balance of good pictures and stories,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not trying to be poetic. I just basically it's it's basically my version of BMX Plus because that was always my favorite magazine.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm just really psyched on what you've got going on. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it, and I wanted to just try and get more and more people to see what you're doing, and just the fact that it's original content, that is thoughtful, and there's actual thought that's put into this, and the people that are in it, like, this isn't motivated by companies. Like, you're not putting Nick Bruce in here because Total sponsors your magazine. Uh you're not putting Trevor in here because, like, someone's telling you that you have these certain people. You're doing it because you want to help them. You want to just expose some what you think is cool and what you think could help people.
it's funny you say that. I'm such a crappy businessman that maybe when Nick was in there, I should have contacted some energy drink companies. I should have contacted Total like, hey, your rider's in here. Why don't you buy an ad?
Yeah,
And
well.
I would feel dirty. Dude, it's kind of weird. Like you know and I since then I have in the next issue I interviewed a rider named Jocelyn Camara,
Yeah,
and one of her sponsors, I contacted them, but I didn't say, hey, Joss is going to be in the magazine. Watch a sponsor it. I said, hey, I really like your stuff. Are you interested in possibly buying an ad? And they did an ad.
that's awesome.
So yeah, and it's they're not even a full on BMX company, but they make really cool stuff. It's everyone sucks but us.
Oh yeah, I see her post about that company.
just think some of their stuff is funny, man. I just like
Yeah,
I like the company, so I reached out and man, Ken was down 100%.
that's awesome. I don't feel bad about not having those like thoughts about like Nick and then hitting up Total because even in my like making YouTube videos and doing all the things I've been doing for years and years, I still don't have those thoughts. And people, I can't talk. A lot of my best things that I've done have been ideas from my friends that I just made into a reality.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's I don't know, man. I realize that money makes the zine go, but I just don't want to be crass about it.
Yeah, I
Be that
think that
cigar store guy.
respect. Well, I think that respect that you have to that topic of things is partially what helps make things successful. I'm sure somebody asked how much a full page ad is, but I'm sure you would rather talk about that in a DM. So his
No,
Instagram is,
I'll tell you because it's 125 bucks.
well, there you go,
Yeah.
125 bucks.
Um, and the nice thing is like it helps me. I I can add more pages or I can reduce the price. So, and I've actually been able to bring the price down since issue one.
That's
And
awesome.
issue one, I think was 24 pages, and now at 60 pages, it's the same price
That's really
because people
awesome.
are helping with ads.
I'll take an ad out right now. Someone said, "Oh God, I don't know if you want to put Kurt's ad in this."
That's funny. You know,
Oh,
I do like the thing is I kind of do try to watch content because there are a lot of younger kids that read it, and I kind of have to watch out for that so I don't have parents coming at me like what kind of trash you are you making my is my kid reading from you? I trusted you.
right. Well, that's another thing. I think that there's quite a lot of people in BMX who don't take the kids into account as much as they should, and the fact that you are is good too.
And without kids, you don't have a future because
That's exactly right.
you got to keep kids fired up on it.
1000%. And I'm glad I don't I like there's nothing you can like knock with anything you've got going on. I love it and I really hope that it stays successful.
Dude, I appreciate that because honestly, and this is I don't know, man, maybe Joey Bags is rubbing off on me, but it's all about love, man. It's just you know, and for people that don't know me, my wife rides BMX. She's really into racing. She's not, and she likes jumping the little lines at Rays,
Hmm.
but it's all, we're our family's about BMX, and unfortunately, we were both injured at the same time. She looped out of a manual and tore her ACL, and
Oh,
recovery's not so well.
that
Uh,
sucks.
yeah, because she tore her meniscus too, and then they scraped out some arthritis in her knee, and she's still not back on a bike.
Man, that sucks. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, but how cool is it that I'm married to a woman that rides BMX? Yeah, it's when we bought my house, we bought a house with land, so we put in some little jumps. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's Peter Pan.
It's kind of a testament to it's 100% possible to live the BMX life as long as you want to if you like make it happen. You don't have to quit whatever because of a certain situation. Like nothing forces you to marry some lady who makes you quit riding your bike.
Right, right. And that's a cool thing about the racetrack that's my local racetrack is a lot of times kids will start riding, then their parents will start riding. Like this year, there are two more moms that just started or three more moms that just started racing.
That's so sick.
It is, and and these ladies, I don't think they've ever really ridden a BMX bike, but they're out there doing it, man, and it just feels so good when you're out there just riding.
Dude, yeah,
So
that's so rad. A lot of I get comments literally almost on a daily basis from people who are saying I'm X years old and I just started riding again, and like whatever they have to say, whether they started riding again 5 years ago, and all of this stuff. But there's so many people that I've even said at times that there might be more people getting into BMX at an older age right now than there are kids getting into it.
man, that's something to think about. And it's one thing we didn't touch on is uh this year, and it's something just new. Uh there's actually a heavy pedals race team,
Whoa.
which yeah, which is cool because some of the guys that are on it, I can't believe they're on it. Like I'm I'm a total fanboy whenever these people ride. Like so the Solon Foster's on the team, and that dude is just, man, he is so smooth and so much fun to watch him ride.
Yeah.
And then he just turned 50, and then there's another guy on our team who is 48 or 49, and this dude, not only is he fast, but he'll be so far ahead of the other riders when he's racing. He'll throw a tabletop over a double, he'll jump the triple, then he'll do an opposite tabletop on the next jump. And it's just, he stopped racing, but he always rode park, so his bike control is amazing. His name
Yeah.
is Mike Matwaychek.
Mike
And
what?
then something, Mike Matwaychek. He's
Okay.
actually the guy that he's doing a one-footed tabletop in issue 3.
I don't know that name, so I'm gonna have to get familiar.
Yeah, man, that dude is insane. He's so good.
Yeah, that's
It
really
just
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, just he's fast and he's got good bike control. He stopped racing, but he never quit riding parks.
Who else? Who else is your dream people that are on your team?
Dude, my friend Scott Town is on the team, and that is just way too cool.
That is
So
pretty awesome.
we don't have a whole lot. We don't always get to, we. I don't get to see him a lot because my work schedule is kind of crazy. But I got to see him quite a bit this summer, like 3 times. So um, that's cool. And then like there's some kids that I have a whole family. There are 2 boys, Caleb and Cal Nicewander, and their dad Archie races on the team too. So that's a whole family thing. And those 2 boys, they live on their bike. If they're not at the track, they're at the skate park.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and and then I got some young kids that just started riding that are just killing it. Like uh, one of the guys, he went from novice to intermediate. It was, I would say, he won every race in his novice when he was novice.
Wow.
And there's another 13-year-old novice now dude, he's killing it too. So
Is Aiden on it?
no, he rides for Lambo's bike shop, I think.
Ah,
But yeah,
that kid
yeah.
kills it.
Oh, dude, Aiden's amazing, and it's really funny because Aiden's dad and I crossed paths in Detroit back in the '80s, so it's kind of crazy.
That
It's
is.
it's real cool because we knew a lot of the same people. It's kind of now I see him all the time at the track. That whole family's awesome. That whole family is, they're a BMX family.
That is it. I see his dad. He brings them to the trails, and it's really cool to see. They're just stoked.
You ever see his dad skateboard?
No, I've never been at a skate park with him.
Dude, check his Instagram. The dude's insane, man.
Really, I had no idea.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
but those parents are so supportive, and when I was a kid, my parents could care less about BMX.
Yeah,
So it's just something that, that it always it was always in the corner of my mind, and I'm really stoked that I'm able to do what I'm doing right now.
yeah, dude. I keep saying it, but it's awesome. Like I don't know. There's just something cool about all of it, and being connected with so many people and doing this. It's just, I think it can only get better.
That's what I'm hoping. It's, I another thing that I do intentionally is I don't put out an online version. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
want to read it online. There's like, if I were to put out an online version, that would just defeat the purpose.
right.
So I want, and yeah, I want nothing to do with publishing it online.
Yeah. Sorry, this question got me laughing. Kurt has been trying to get me to ask about trains this entire time, but he said, "Does Cleveland rock?" What's
Is
that?
this Kurt? Is this a Kurt that you know?
His name's Kurt Rowell. He's in like Washington or something like that. He's an older guy too. He just likes to
Okay.
troll in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, if he wants to talk about trains, we could talk. We could talk about train monikers. Uh,
Well,
I'm not much into the engines, but I do like looking at what people write on the cars.
oh yeah, I always look at that too.
Yeah, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about foamers, but whenever I see people taking pictures of engines, I just kind of shake my head and move on.
uh, Someone asked when the new BMX Till Death shirts will be released.
Man, so this weekend I'm going to be at Mike's Bike Park at that swap meet. I'm also going to finally interview Zach Newman there,
Nice,
hopefully, and so they'll be making the debut there.
awesome.
I was printing them all day today.
Oh, you do it yourself?
I do it myself.
So you have a screen printer, or are you doing heat press? What are you doing?
Screen printing. I
That
bought like I bought like some dude on Facebook was selling his whole like screen printing studio, so I bought it.
wow. See, that is like I don't know, man. There's just something so cool with just hearing about being all in with this type of stuff. Like you're like, oh, I want shirts. Okay, I found this deal on Facebook, so I'm gonna buy the whole screen printing studio.
Well, he did Melee Faction,
Yeah.
and he was helping me print my stuff. So I mean, I would, because my arm was broken, I would just go sit and talk with him, and he would print everything at his house.
Awesome.
So I'm lucky like that. But I can't. There are times when I need shirts printed, but I can't wait when he can do it. So I was kind of forced to buy my own stuff because I didn't want to pay someone else to do it, because when I was in, I worked in screen printing shops when I was a teenager. So
Oh, yeah, you already know it.
yeah, I wasn't. And then actually, also there's a screen place in Toledo called Jute Mode. Those guys, the owner of that place, he helped me. He burns my screens for me, and
Mm-hmm.
if I need any help, all I have to do is call him.
That's
So
rad.
yeah, I've got so much support on that area too. So I had to take the step and do it.
That's sick. Kurt said it's the DIY attitude from punk rock. It's in his blood.
You know, I'm not. It totally is, because even I played in punk rock bands up until 2005, and we were total DIY punk band, and we printed our own shirts. We printed our own 7 inches. We made our own buttons. So yeah, totally. That's what it is, man. Like, do it yourself all the way.
How's that compare to your thoughts like with BMX? I mean, I feel like it's a complete parallel.
Oh, it totally is, man. Like, so like in punk rock or BMX or music, what's real.
Yeah,
Like, some dudes just come along and, can I swear?
I don't care.
If someone's bullshitting you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if someone like in punk rock, you like, especially in Ann Arbor, when like some super rich kid that's never really had a struggle and his parents just like buy him his, when they show up with a Les Paul and a Marshall half stack, they, what's real and what's not, man. It's just punk rock and BMX are, they're the same thing all the way.
That's
So,
interesting.
and that's another thing. Like, I'm pretty stoked that, like, and I'm sure maybe there were some people that were like, "Hey, what's this guy think he's doing? Who is this guy?" You know, and that I'm all right with that because, I'm sure there are people that come into BMX try to make a few bucks and skedoodle, either with a few bucks or with nothing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's to me, it's one and the same. It's you just got to be. I try to be real with everything I do and honest. I mean, honesty.
Oh, I feel it. I can literally feel it in everything that you're like saying.
Yeah.
Um, so does that mean that and the fact that you got a freestyle team mean you're ever going to try and do anything? Or I asked my question before I wanted to ask my question. You know what I'm going to ask now. You're ever going to do anything with freestyle the way you have a race team?
If I could figure out a way how to help some freestyle people, I totally would. But I can't figure out how to help. I can't figure out what I can do short of giving a whole lot of money, which I don't have.
Yeah, I guess there's no contest entry pays that you can do anymore. Like gas to get those places, I guess, is a thing. But like, other than that, man, I don't know.
The race team, everybody buys their own jerseys. I can't afford to buy the jerseys, but it's more like it's just it's people like hanging out that like to that like to hang out together, that love riding, that it's yeah. I guess the thing that I can give I give my riders like t-shirts at cost.
Yeah,
That's the best I can do. Hopefully eventually I'll be able to buy jerseys.
yeah,
Because that's good advertising, and honestly, the tracks have really been the track operator at Toledo, Brad. He lets me set up my stuff. Akron has been real supportive. Um, I went out to I can't remember Connecticut. I can't remember the name of the track. I want to say maybe Falcon BMX. They let me set up my stuff and didn't give me a hassle. Lansing, I showed up at Lansing with my arm in a sling, and the assistant track operator helped me set up everything.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah. So racing's been real supportive. If I figure out a way that I could help someone riding freestyle, I would totally be into it.
I'm sure eventually there'll be something.
Well, I think the best way I can help them is by exposure.
Yeah, honestly.
You know?
Especially if it keeps growing the way that it is. I mean, you went from, you said 400 or 500 on the first one. Obviously, you said the second one was only 200 because of what was going on. Then jumped up to 1,000 on the third.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was I was talking to one of the guys that is doing advertising, and I was like, I'm going all in, man. If it makes it, great. If not, I'm just going to go back to doing 100 at a time.
Yeah.
So because it's when you print 1,000, it's a lot. It gets a lot cheaper to print 1,000 than even like 500. So
Oh yeah. Cost per issue goes down.
Yeah, but the people I use, I think that they go to I think they shop the job around to somebody who's not busy, and sometimes one of the printings of the black and white issue wasn't the best.
Oh.
And then at number 3, there were 2 pages that were completely different from the proof, where it was so dark you had to be in really bright light to read the words over the photo.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like the first, like the little starting gate article.
This thing.
Yeah. if you go into a darkish place to try to read that, the words just disappear.
Right. Yep, that's the reality of business.
Yeah. So,
That adds to the
but that
character of a zine.
yeah, it totally does. But man, I want I at least want people to be able to read it.
Right, right. Uh, Somebody said they just showed up. What company does he own? He owns GT bicycles.
Yeah, my name's Gary Turner.
He does a zine called Heavy Pedals. He went from 24 pages to 68 or 64 or something like that.
60. This issue is going to be 64.
So look forward to this in the future. And even though you're based in Toledo, Ohio, this isn't an Ohio-based zine. There is a lot of Ohio stuff in here, but there's also a lot of non-Ohio stuff in here. And I got to give a shout out to the dude, BMX Pete. He is such a rad guy, and he is such a shredder.
Yeah, I love his YouTube channel. I mean, and he's been a supporter since the first issue.
He's got a bike
So
shop to put it in.
I know I'm really excited about that.
Me too, man. I just love seeing good things to happen to good people.
Yeah, watching Pete's videos, Pete, like whenever I watch his videos, I feel like he's like a friend that I've never met.
Yeah. Yeah, you get that vibe from his videos because he's just being him, you know?
Oh yeah.
Ha! BMX does need more Ohio.
I'm trying to follow I'm starting to look for like smaller YouTube channels too, because I've reached out to some of the people that run some of the bigger YouTube channels, and you get crickets.
Yep,
So
that's the problem, man.
and it's it's BMX, and I was talking to somebody. I'm like, oh, I get starstruck by such and such, and the dude's like, yeah, but it's BMX. I get starstruck too, but in the end, it's BMX.
Yeah,
and it's not really big.
I got a great story for that. I was at Evolution Skate Park in Canton, Ohio. You know that one?
I do not.
Okay, well, it was there, and they closed down a while ago. But I was there with Sponge, and we're sitting in what they call the flow room, where you can see like the entrance to the skate park from the lobby. And two people walk in, and are sitting there, and Sponge goes, "Is that Chris Doyle? Did Chris Doyle just walk in?" He was kind of, he's getting starstruck because it's Doyle. And my response, because this is my genuine response, who's Chris Doyle?
That's funny.
I had absolutely no idea who he was.
There are a couple of people when they when I saw the names come through on the zine orders, I kind of almost fell over. Like
That's
I was,
awesome.
it's like, it kind of freaks me out.
You want to shout some people out, dude? That's positive stuff.
Man, nah, I probably just, I don't know.
That's okay. I just wondered. Well, man,
there's,
what's that?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I just, it's just cool. I don't know. It's just, it's been all, dude. I can't. You know what's funny? I can't even think of like one negative thing that has happened because of the zine. It's all been super positive.
That's awesome. That's exactly the way that it should be. I feel like I don't know if maybe you've noticed this too. I feel like in the past year or two, BMX in general has just gotten more positive.
I haven't noticed that, but I'm a real positive person, and sometimes I'm so positive that like I don't realize when things are bad, because I like sometimes I'm just too I'm just super positive all the time. I tend to ignore negative things.
Maybe that's why I feel that way, because I'm just pushing out the negativity and only focusing on the positive when I can.
Yeah, dude, life's too short. Life's too short for the negative stuff, man. It's just I don't have time for it.
That's exactly right, and I feel like that is a perfect place to end off with this. I want to give you a giant shout out here. Anyone who's watching this, you need to check out Heavy Pedalz. This is thoughtful, original content from Chuck here. He did it all himself, other than obviously some of the pictures that are in here, but they're all credited. Everything is legit. There's nothing in here that's questionable, and it's all different. There's racing, there's freestyle, there's literal like front brakes in this one beside a racing photo. There's it's just all in here. There's dirt jumps, there's skate parks, there's literally Hannah Roberts, future Olympian, in here. It's just all here, so you got to check it out. I mean,
I just want to say thanks because after seeing issue 1, I'm glad that you took a look at issue 3 because man, sometimes I look at issue 1 and I still cringe, but you got to start somewhere.
dude, that's the whole thing. We all start somewhere. My first ever videos are awful, and it only gets better from there. And if you start out the best that's ever been, how is that any fun?
Right, right. That's funny. I was thinking about that the other day. Like I'm having so much fun. Like I don't want it to end, but I know something's got to change. So I'm just trying to ride the wave for as long as I can.
Oh, dude, absolutely. We don't know how old people can be. So we need to say where and how do people get it, and how much is it? Because somebody said I got to make some money and get one. It's not a whole lot of money to make. Don't worry.
No, okay. You can go to heavypedals.com and it's pedals with a Z, and I can't remember. I think it's like $6 postpaid. So it's like $6 shipped to your door.
It's pretty cheap. I have the Facebook and Instagram linked in the description as well. I'm gonna get the website in there as soon as possible.
And I am always like, if there's somebody you think I should talk to or check out, please, man, let me know. Or even if you want to send in photos that you've taken, or if you want to write an article, man, the more the merrier.
Yeah, it'd be
So
cool to get some kind of like user contributed content in there, like some kind of scene report type deals, or people like doing something, with someone they know for you.
yeah, if you want to review a park or send in some pictures of a park. I've actually I've went and ridden a park from the first issue, and I wouldn't have known about it if Jake Hadaway hadn't volunteered the info.
There you go.
So
Jeff Mead said there better be a Brant interview next issue.
never,
Never,
never.
ever. That will never, ever happen.
Oh, wait, maybe it already did.
That's funny. That's exciting. Yeah, thank you for that too. If you guys needed more of a reason, since you're on my YouTube channel, I will have an interview in the next number 4, I think, unless it's going to be in a later one or something.
No, it's in number 4.
There you go. I appreciate it. Shout out to Tangible Media and people like Chuck who are literally just making it happen. Kurt says, "Let me get an article. You can't. How you gonna get an article with improper grammar?" He said, "I've wrote for ride and chase and maybe dig. I can't remember."
Dude, I can edit stuff.
Either way, Kurt is definitely an authority on things BMX. He'd be a cool guy just to talk to,
Awesome.
even if it's not for anything with it. But either way, I want to say thank you for doing this. Everyone, check out Heavy Pedalz and support real shit in BMX. It's that simple.
Thank you for your time and let me talk.